everybody, Cinema Sickness here with this week's weekly review, where we take a look at all the titles I watched throughout the week, and I give you my quick thoughts on them. So let's take a look at what I watched. So the first title I checked out this week was Sanctum. Now I went into this one kind of interested, because I really liked the premise of the film. I thought it sounded very, very interesting, and I was really looking forward to checking this one out, thus why I watched it the day I bought it. However, I was also kind of cautious as this film just gets trashed. I pretty much read nothing but absolutely horrible reviews on this film. And after watching it, I just don't get the bad reviews. A lot of people said the characters were kind of unrelatable. They didn't really like any of the characters. I guess, kind of, I sort of see that, maybe, but that was nothing that bothered me. I didn't care about that. I still like the characters. Some were dicks, some were just kind of flat, but it still worked for me. It's a story about a bunch of people getting trapped in a cave and them having to survive. And there's all kinds of crazy deaths and mishaps and all these just crazy things happen to these people trapped in this cave. And it's really exciting, a lot of fun, and I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. But then again, I really do like disaster films, and that is exactly what this is. It's a disaster survival movie. I loved the hell out of it. So I don't get all the hate. Really doesn't make any sense to me. Again, maybe some of the characters aren't relatable. Maybe some people didn't like the characters, or they didn't really care if they survived or they died. Sure, I suppose, but that wasn't a problem. I kind of liked that a lot of people were dicks. I, liked that the dad, kind of sort of was an asshole, but at the end became sort of a nice guy, and, of course he dies, and spoiler alert there and everything, and we have our one survivor, and it worked for me. It just was a good movie. I'm not going to get too much into it and explain the entire plot, but it is a simple premise, just people getting trapped in a cave and them having to survive, and just all the shit that keeps hitting the fan. So a great story. I would not knock this one. I just don't get all the hate. So I would definitely recommend it. If you want to see a great disaster survival film, check out Sanctum. The next title I checked out was Dog Soldiers. Now this is oddly one that I think gets a bit too much praise. A lot of people, a lot of my viewers, a lot of you guys who commented on this while I posted that I was watching it, even when I picked it up, a lot of you guys said it's great. One of the best werewolf movies you've ever seen. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. If you like werewolf movies, if you like horror movies, you're going to enjoy this film. It was good. It's certainly worth a watch. I'm not putting this movie down. But when I say it's one of the best werewolf movies I've ever seen, not really all that sure about that. The movie is very much, it has kind of a feeling of Night of the Living Dead, but instead of zombies, werewolves. There's a bunch of people trapped in a house trying to survive a werewolf attack. That's kind of the premise of the story. I mean, there's a little bit more going on in the beginning, but in the end, the last, I'd say, 3/4 of the movie is people trapped in a house trying to survive a werewolf attack for the night, and that's basically it. So again, Night of the Living Dead, but with werewolves instead of zombies. Again, does it work? Yes. Was it enjoyable? Yes. Do I definitely like it? Do I definitely recommend it? Yes and yes. But I just think this movie was getting a bit too much praise. I was really surprised when I saw so many people saying so many great things about this. I mean, not just like, oh yeah, I enjoyed the movie, it was okay. No, people saying, it's amazing, it's fantastic, best werewolf movie I've ever seen. When you hear things like that, it kind of be raising an eyebrow, like, why do people like this movie so much? Maybe I was missing something. I'm not sure. But again, I'm not knocking it. It's a great movie. I would definitely recommend it. If you like werewolf films, you just like great horror movies, you want to see a bunch of people surviving a werewolf attack for the night and just all the shit that hits the fan with that, then yeah, check it out. It's enjoyable. I just think maybe a bit too much praise. Then I finally finished up Cheers. Watched the complete 11th season. This year finishes the entire series, and it goes out pretty well. I was really surprised by how they kind of picked things up with this season. As I mentioned, the last couple seasons just fell a little bit flat. Pretty much after Shelley Long left, the character Diane left, it just didn't seem the same. The show didn't seem as good. I mean, it was enjoyable, but instead of I'd say like a really kind of like story-driven series where, yeah, every episode kind of had its own thing going on, but they were all kind of tied in together, had these great stories and great cliffhangers, it really made you want to know what's going to happen next. It kind of turned into just your standard sitcom, which, I'm not trying to say anything bad about that. I love sitcoms, I love Cheers, but I just like the first few seasons with Shelley Long a lot more than the seasons where she was not part of the series. But this one, like I said, did pick it up a little bit. It just, you know, they did a really good job kind of wrapping everything up. And I really, really enjoyed the last two-part episode because Shelley Long, bit of a spoiler alert here, Shelley Long does come back. And at first I thought maybe she was just making a cameo as they just kind of showed her on TV. And I thought, okay, yeah, there she is on TV. Now they're going to go back to the actual story that's going on. But no, she actually comes back. She meets up with Sam. She tries to lie and say she has a husband. He tries to lie and says he has a wife. They end up finding out that obviously Sam doesn't have a wife and she doesn't have a husband. They end up wanting to get kind of back together, maybe actually get married. They're going to run off to back to California together. Sam's going to leave the bar, put it up for sale. He's just going to pack up and go. He thinks that Rebecca can run it and whatnot. He doesn't need to be there. So that's what ends up happening, and everybody's kind of freaking out, like, oh my god, Sam's going to go marry Diane and leave us all. But no, of course, they end up realizing, you know, maybe this is foolish. Maybe we're not right for each other. That's why we never worked out in the first place. Maybe we shouldn't get married. They do end up calling it off, and Sam comes back to his bar, and I really like the last scene. It's really cool where everybody's leaving. Norm's headed out and basically says, you know, he ends up saying to Sam, like, you know, we knew you weren't going to go, whatnot, because you always come back to, you know, the one you love the most. And he's like, well, Sam goes, well, who's that? And of course Norm goes, think about it. And Sam realizes that what he meant is the bar. The bar is what Sam loves the most. Cheers is his entire life. He'll always come back to Cheers. He can't leave Cheers. Cheers means the world to him. And I thought that was really cool. Great way to end the series. So I love this season. It was great. I loved the entire series of Cheers. It's a fantastic sitcom. If you enjoy sitcoms, definitely check Cheers out. The next title I watched was The Darkest Hour, another movie that gets a lot of really negative reviews that I don't necessarily think are 100% deserved. It was mediocre. It wasn't anything all that great. You don't necessarily get super involved in the characters. It's a story we've seen before, but was it enjoyable? Was it just a fun popcorn movie? Yes, it was. I definitely don't think this movie deserves all the negative reviews that it gets. It's a story about aliens attacking. These kids are off in Russia. Aliens start attacking the world. They end up surviving. Well, some of them do anyway, and they gotta fight back, and they realize how you need to attack them to kill them, and we go from there. So, again, a story we've seen before. I can name a dozen other movies that are just like this one, but does that make it a bad film? No, I don't think so. I really liked the aliens. They were kind of like sort of cloaked in this energy field, and they could suck you up and turn you into ash. It was kind of neat, and they were attacking the Earth apparently for like energy-rich minerals and stuff like that, or something. It was an alright idea. I did enjoy the film. I wouldn't say it was bad. If you like sci-fi movies, if you just want to see a great movie with aliens attacking the Earth and people having to fight back and survive, it's an enjoyable film. Again, it's nothing special. It is mediocre, but don't necessarily listen to all the hate. I just don't think it deserves that many bad reviews, because it is a somewhat decent film. It's just nothing special. Then I watched From Earth to the Moon. Now this is something everybody has to see. I've been looking forward to checking this one out, and I decided to watch it while working on my library, and very happy I finally checked this one out. This is a great mini-series. This was an HBO mini-series. It documents from the very beginning of the space race. I mean, when we first decided to, basically when the Russians actually decided, you know, to go to the moon, and we decided to go to the moon, and all the way up to the last Apollo mission. This basically does follow the entire Apollo mission. I thought this was just so well done. It's sort of told kind of in almost like, it's hard to describe. It's told like in an actual story, like you're watching a movie, but then at times they also kind of do like a documentary type thing, so it's kind of told sort of both ways, where you're getting a bit of a history lesson, but you're also watching, you know, kind of like a little mini movie where with these, you know, different actors and actresses playing these characters and watching this great story unfold of the Apollo mission. So this was just amazingly well done. I would say the last two episodes kind of felt a little flat. The second to last episode was about the astronauts' wives. Yeah, I guess it's an important part of the story, but it just sort of felt, I don't know, I wasn't too thrilled with that that episode. And plus, once they really kind of drive home, you know, how the Apollo missions kind of got a little boring, and why people lost interest, and why we stopped after, I think, what, 15, we never went back after that. It really makes sense, because as the episodes go on, pretty much after Apollo 13, it kind of gets a little stale almost. Not that I'm saying that the series becomes bad, but the missions become a little bit stale. You're like, all right, they're just going to the moon, they're not really doing anything special, and it kind of made me go, oh, I see why America lost interest back when all this was happening. And you sort of feel that while watching this. I thought that was pretty cool. But again, the last two episodes, they do seem a little flat. It's like Apollo 14 and 15, I guess. The second to last one, again, being mostly about the astronauts' wives, and the last episode is kind of weird. It basically talks a lot about that movie. Was it called like A Trip to the Earth or Trip to the Moon or something like that? The really old school, like, German expressionistic film. We've all seen it, where people take the trip to the moon. And yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but we've all seen that. It talks a bit about that, which was kind of cool, because I learned a lot about the making of that movie and kind of what went into it, and the fact that Thomas Edison screwed over the actual writer and director of that film. He stole his movie and just started making prints of it and distributing it in the United States, made a boatload of money. And the actual writer and director and producer and the guy who put that movie together basically died penniless. And it was like, wow, Thomas Edison's kind of an asshole. I didn't know that. That was really crazy. I mean, thinking about Thomas Edison, you think, he's a great man. But no, apparently he was a bit of a dick. So that was interesting. But that last episode focused a lot on that, so it kind of gets a little weird at the end. But regardless, this is great. If you have any interest whatsoever in astronauts, space, going to the moon, if you liked Apollo 13, thought that was a good movie, then this is definitely something to check out. It's fantastic. I would highly recommend it. You can pick this up, I think, for like $10 at Target, which is a fantastic deal. So grab this one, check it out. You won't be sorry. Then I checked out Oz, the Great and Powerful. And once again, I know I keep saying this, but another movie that gets a lot of bad reviews that I don't think are necessarily deserved. Was this movie fantastic? No. But was it bad? Also no. It was an enjoyable film. When I picked this one up, I said I had a feeling it was going to kind of be like the live-action Alice in Wonderland, where it was just sort of alright. I thought this movie was a hell of a lot better than Alice in Wonderland. This was a great watch. I really enjoyed this film. Again, nothing amazing, but still a good watch. If I had to say one negative thing, though, it would definitely be the cast. I don't think it was cast very well. Don't get me wrong, Rachel Weisz and Mila Kunis together, that's not a bad deal if you ask me, but I just kind of felt like everybody did a alright job. I thought that they could have cast it differently. They probably could have got a really strong cast and really just, destroyed with this film. They could have made a great, great movie with a better cast. That was my only downfalls. I think just, I never really got too into anybody in this movie. I never got really involved in any of the cast just because I thought they were just kind of sort of alright in their roles. But it didn't really take away from anything. It still made for a good movie. I loved all the references that kind of like lead up to The Wizard of Oz. Lots of little things here and there. If you're a big fan of Wizard of Oz, you're going to pick them out. You're going to recognize things that they're either hinting to or kind of setting up for that movie. So a good watch. Am I going to go too much into it? Not really. It's just a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. If you want to see how kind of things got set up and how sort of things sort of came to be what they were in The Wizard of Oz, then definitely check it out. How close this is stick to the book, I have no idea. If I'm not mistaken, there are like 90,000 Wizard of Oz books in the series. I haven't read a single one, so I don't even know where this falls into place. I'm not even sure if this is the first one. Maybe it is. I don't know. But regardless, I have no idea how close they stick to the book, but it's still a good watch. I would definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of The Wizard of Oz, see this one. And the last two titles I watched this week, unfortunately I can't actually physically hold up and show you, as the one I saw in the theater and the other one I rented. Now the movie I saw in the theater was This Is the End, and I went into this movie kind of cautiously, as when I first read about it, I read the premise, I saw who was in it, I thought this looks great, this looks really, really funny, I cannot wait to see this film. Then I started hearing radio ads and seeing TV ads, and I thought, maybe this isn't going to be the film I thought it was going to be. I just thought the ads sort of made it look kind of flat, not really all that funny. It just didn't seem like the film I thought it was going to be. Luckily, I was completely wrong. This movie was great. Laugh after laugh after laugh. I love the cast. You get this just great like main cast, but then besides that, you have just a ridiculous amount of cameos. The movie, for the most part, starts out kind of all taking place in a party, and it's just this party of Hollywood celebrities from, you know, all the great sort of raunchy kind of teen movies that are going on nowadays. Just this fantastic ensemble of just faces. You're going to constantly see cameo after cameo. You're going to be picking people out. It's great. It's a lot of fun when it starts off just to see this huge cast of characters from all different movies. I mean, all these people pretty much work together, but not necessarily all in the same movie, but it's great to see them all just come in together, all at this one party, and they're all playing themselves. And I say playing themselves because they're supposed to be them, but they're kind of playing like stereotypes of themselves. Really funny, though. They really ham it up. It's a great just opening to the film. And then everything kind of goes bad. The end of the world comes. Most of them die off. We have our main cast take over. But the laughs still come. It's just absolutely hilarious. And I would definitely recommend checking the film out. I mean, there's not too much to say. It's just these people trying to survive the end of the world. But it's actually the apocalypse. Like, literally, Satan's coming up and attacking the earth, and God's taking people. At first, you kind of think maybe it's an alien invasion, but then we learn it's actually God taking people up to heaven, as he said he was going to do, apparently, and Satan attacking the earth. So it's the end of the world. It's the apocalypse. And just really, really funny. Just, again, these characters who, you know, some like each other, some don't. You got people who are friends, other people who hate each other, and just the way they constantly have to act off one another. Fantastic. Extremely funny. Just don't pay attention to the trailers or the ads. They suck. Watch the film. You'll enjoy it. Is it something you need to see in the theater, though? No, it's not. If you have no interest in going to the theaters to see this one, I don't blame you. Just wait till it comes out on Blu-ray or DVD. But once it does, pick it up and check it out. You won't be sorry. I love Channing Tatum. I love his cameo in this. Now, I'm not some big fan of his. You know, I think he's alright. I don't have anything wrong with the guy. You know, he's good in the movies I've seen him in, but I've never thought he was anything special. But he gets like 100 extra bonus points added onto his coolness now, because he completely makes fun of himself. He has a little cameo at the end of this film where he's really making fun of just himself, and I think that's great to watch him make fun of himself and in the process grabbing some other guy's junk. Just fantastic. I was like, all right, this guy's pretty cool. You know, I never really thought that about him. Always kind of thought he seemed a little toolish. I don't know. I really don't know. You know, I don't really know the actor all that well. I don't study Channing Tatum all that well. But, you know, I always kind of thought he came off as a bit of a tool. But watching him play this character, watching him make fun of himself, and just the way he is in this in his little cameo, I thought, all right, he's probably a pretty cool guy. He gets some extra bonus points there. He definitely bumps up a few notches in my cool book. So really enjoyed his cameo. But that's the other thing. You're getting a ton of great cameos in this movie. If for nothing else, the movie's worth it just for all the fantastic cameos and references to other movies, which they're constantly doing. They're constantly referencing other movies they've been in, which I think is a lot of fun too, since I'm sure most of us have seen those movies. So I would definitely recommend checking out This Is the End. Again, you don't necessarily need to see it in the theaters. You can wait to get it on DVD or Blu-ray. It's nothing you have to go to theater and see. But when it does come out, definitely at least give it a rent. I would say pick it up. It's worth picking up. But at the very least, give it a rent because it's fantastic and you'll definitely enjoy it. And the last title I watched this week is actually a title the wife rented, and I sat down and watched it with her. And that was For a Good Time Call. Mediocre. It had some very funny moments. It had some decent characters. I enjoyed the premise of these two girls starting this phone sex line. I mean, the one's already kind of doing it on the side. Then you have this kind of prissy little Miss Rich girl who thinks it's kind of wrong, but then realizes, wow, you can make a lot of money doing this, and kind of gets all into making this a business, and then she ends up getting into the phone sex thing. But you know, it's all sort of fun. They're having a good time with it. Nothing really goes bad. Everything kind of is good with their sex line. They're making money, and just, again, business is going very well for them. You know, it's these two characters who actually, you know, start off hating each other and then end up liking each other. But I just have to say it was mediocre. After I watched the film, I was kind of like, nah, all right, you know, I'll probably pick it up. It was good. It was good enough. I enjoyed it enough that I'll eventually buy it when I can find it for cheap. But did I think it was anything amazing? No, I just thought it was mediocre. It was just okay. Again, it had some good laughs. It had a decent story, but it's nothing I'm going to want to watch over and over and over again. Maybe like 10 years down the line, I'll give it a second watch, but it's nothing I need to see again anytime soon. So when I say check it out, tough to say. I guess if you had, I'd say if you had interest in seeing it, if you've been thinking about checking out, if it looks like a movie you might like, then definitely see it. You'll enjoy it. Again, it has some good laughs. You'll like the story. You'll enjoy it. But if it looks like, if this movie you look at and go, I have no interest in seeing this, maybe you don't need to see it then, as it wasn't anything special. But like I said, it still was enjoyable. So if you've been thinking about seeing it, or maybe you want to give it a go, yeah, it's worth checking out. But I would either rent it from Redbox for $1, see what you think of it, or if you do want to actually pick it up on DVD or Blu-ray, wait till you find it for cheap. I'd say definitely don't pay over $5 for this. Not worth any more than a $5. That's as high as you should go for this film. But all in all, mediocre, but still enjoyable. So there you go, guys. It's everything I watched this week. Definitely watched some great titles, although a lot that get really negative reviews, like Sanctum. Don't get it. Love the film. Don't get all the hate. Thought it was absolutely fantastic. Just love those disaster survival movies. I really enjoyed the film. Got very into it. I'd say probably out of all the movies I've watched this week, that was the one I got really, really roped into the whole time. I was just constantly watching the film. I wanted to know what was going to happen next, how these people were going to survive. Really got roped into it, and I just don't get the hate. I would definitely recommend checking that out. And the Darkest Hour, you know, nothing special, but still don't think it deserves all the hate. It was decent, and same thing with Oz, the Great and Powerful. Not the best movie I've ever seen, but a decent story. Really liked it. If you like Wizard of Oz, check it out. So that is it, guys. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for my next weekly review. See ya.